Say the word give. Say the word all. Say the word your. Say the word raw.
This is a hearing test.
Oh.
Say the word impression.
Is that the sound in your ear?
Well, no.
Oh.
Say the word
They use white noise.
They
in
use
the
white
tests.
noise. Okay.
Yes.
Say the word hearing. Say the word cochlear. Say the word tinnitus. Say the word loss.
And you repeat the words.
Say the word liquid. Say the name Manure.
I think we're getting near. Speaking of...
Say the word tumor. Say the name Adam. Say the word mystery. Say the word hydrops.
That's another word for Meniere's.
Say the word nerve. Say the word damage.
It's either nerve damage or Meniere's, as far as I can tell.
Sounds like we're nearing
It's still just me
a
diagnosing.
diagnosis.
It's still self-diagnosis because they don't know. I went to another audiologist. I went to another ENT this week. And yeah, you get a lot of like shrugs.
Mm-hmm. Although some of your hearing loss has come back.
That's what they said. Each of the tests were very different. Not very different. They all had exactly what I just demonstrated. They had the white noise mask that they play in one of your ears while they do the little beeps in the other.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know, But apparently, yeah.
I was gonna say if it came back, I think
Maybe I just don't even have anything anymore. Maybe I'm fine. I don't know.
it sounds like you could have Meniere's.
I got some Meniere's in my inner ears.
That's sounding the closest to what, when you describe what you have, and then when you've described people coming to you and saying, it sounds like it's actually this. It has
closely resembled
Meniere's.
And then the it wasn't the ENT this time, but sort of the upper guy from the ENT.
Mm-hmm.
He said he did actually say Meniere's when I said hydrops.
Mm-hmm.
Cochlear hydrops.
So when you were in Seattle recently for the Sebadoh benefit show, your friend Chris Ballou.
He's my friend.
He's your friend, right?
I actually spoke with this guy a couple of times now.
How nice.
Chris Ballou was the leader, or the most recognizable member of the Presidents of the United States of America, known for their hit songs in the 90s, Lump, The Sublime Peaches. Boy, what a fun band. And they played one of the most kind of interesting shows I saw in the 90s.
Really?
They played at this huge festival, Roskilde. It's like out in the Danish countryside. Before Coachella and all this, it was like the biggest festival. Tens of thousands of people. I saw the presidents of the United States of America play in a tent. They opened their set with an incredible cover of Kick Out the Jams by the MC5. And the really interesting thing about that band is that I think Chris maybe plays with 2 strings, and then the other guy plays with 3, or Chris plays with 3, the other guy plays with 2. But the point being that they have 5 strings between them
Oh.
And they created this enormous sound, which I had so much respect for, because myself, as someone who tunes guitar, who uses less strings on my guitars, for my 4-string guitar in particular, and I was very impressed by that. And then we had that in common. A mutual friend of ours sort of talked to him about me, and apparently he was kind of into early Sebadoh and my solo stuff. So I finally spoke to him last year when we were going to do the Dinosaur Jr. Where You Been shows in Seattle. I thought maybe I should reach out to him and see if he wants to be a guest.
Oh, right. That's right. I was trying to remember how this connection came to be.
So I got his number, and we spoke, and we talked for like 2 hours. And he's really, really nice guy and really cool. And like the presidents of the United States of America, as big as they were, they kind of just stepped back. They did a record with like Sir Mix-a-Lot at some point, but they kind of stepped back, and he did a lot of children's music. He did children's music, and has seemed to settled into this more simple life of doing his solo stuff. And anyway, I had a wonderful conversation with him. He's incredibly perceptive and playful, and I got to see him again. We finally got to be sort of more formally reintroduced to each other. We introduced ourselves to each other at the Seattle show. I went out and saw him, and we talked, and he said, one of the first things he said was, "Do you have loss of low-end hearing in your one ear?" And I said, "Yes." And he said, "That is liquid on the cochlea." And he basically laid out the symptoms perfectly and said that he's had it twice and that it's come and gone for him. And it usually only lasted about 2 weeks. Mine's unusual because it's been hanging in there for about a month and a half. And the sound, my tinnitus, my low-end tinnitus in my left ear is crazy. And that didn't ring any bells, so to speak, for him. But anyway, it made me feel a lot better when he told me that. And it kind of gave me a little boost. And Sebadoh played our first show in 5 years, and it was... I don't know if triumphant is the right word, but it was successful.
Yeah.
We played the show even though we had done a rehearsal the day before. And once again, I was like, oh my God, it just sounded like hell on earth. And I was like, how am I going to be able to play the show?
You're not saying Sebadoh sounded like hell on earth. Just to clarify, you were simply saying it sounded like hell on earth because of your
rehearsing in these practice spaces, just as Dinosaur Jr.
It's difficult.
Dinosaur Jr. had also rehearsed before our show in San Diego, and I had a similar where I just could not process the music, and I was having a little bit of a deja vu moment with Sebadoh rehearsing, and I thought, oh my God, I got to hold on to this too. I got to do my best. But when Chris Ballou told me that, it kind of gave me a little bounce in my step. We played the show, and right after the show, Ben Gibbard came back, and I kind of got a...
That's the guy from Death Cab for Cutie, if you don't know.
And Postal Service. Who I like quite a bit. I like both bands.
Yeah.
I've sort of enjoyed him from afar. We have some friends in common, but I would see him here and there and have these sort of awkward conversations with them, or just brief exchanges. And in my mind, for some reason, I thought that maybe he didn't like me, and I'm not sure where I came up with that. But it was there, and I did have this. So he came back. He was like, "That was really great, Lou." And I'm like, "Wow, thanks, Ben." It was really nice to see. I just somehow felt really nice because the band Death Cab for Cutie represents to me. I have a bit of a history with that band personally. I kind of fell in love with their music in the early 2000s, and in the early 2000s, I felt that my music was becoming more and more irrelevant. And I thought that my music wasn't that good. And I thought there was so much great music coming out in the 2000s that I really did personalize it.
I was just going to say, sounds like you personalized these bands' success.
Which I loved. I loved all of these bands.
I don't know if your failure then, but you made it
I did.
The downward spiral of
loved music in the 2000s.
90s indie rock.
I loved how indie rock had sort of blossomed in the 2000s, in the aughts, and it became more popular. Bands.
It did. It became more mainstream.
It
really
became more mainstream.
Yeah.
Bands like Spoon had like these breakthrough songs, and labels like Merge,
Interpol, The Strokes,
and labels like Merge and Sub Pop and Matador began to have, and Domino, who was we were very intimately involved with. A lot of these labels, they saw success.
They had success finally,
and
right?
I felt kind of like, I felt
like you personalized it.
I was feeling icky about myself. And I went to a Death Cab for Cutie show in the mid-aughts.
In LA?
In LA at the Wiltern Theater.
Ah, yep.
And I went to the show, and they were very, very good. And with every song...
So again, you felt threatened, personally threatened.
I wouldn't say it was threatened. I just felt bad. It was like every song they played, I was just like, oh my God. I just felt my essence draining from me because it was so good and so much better than in my estimation at that moment, better than anything I had ever done.
And it is different. It's a different sounding thing,
It's more sophisticated. It's like a sophistication that it sort of dropped all of the pretense of, like, punk rock was such a big thing for us, and it really, defined how we approached our audience and our music, but it was kind of like, why was there all of this resistance? Like, there was so much resistance that I carried into my musical experience. And when I heard bands like Death Cab for Cutie, and actually bands like The Black Lips and bands like Animal Collective, and I just felt like they were just stylistically freer, and that they were a lot.
Would you also say that they were a little more of kind of the rise of, like, for lack of a better word, like male ally feminist kind of thing, the softer man? They were like,
it was.
They were less aggressive, maybe, in their
lyrics,
less and their approach,
because the '90s was full of aggressive music. And I mean, to me, the presidents of the United States of America were interesting because they had a twist on that. They did a twist on it, and I found them not macho, which was kind of important because in the '90s it was macho.
There was, yeah.
The whole grunge thing was like there was a whole lot of balls in your face, for better or worse. Even Nirvana was a bit of a balls in your face band.
Yeah.
Even as sensitive as they are, and how much I relate to that. And Sebadoh, we carried chips on our shoulders when we went on stage,
Yeah.
So I thought that this 2000s thing was amazing. So I'm watching the show. My essence is draining from me. By the end of the show, I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, oh God, what am I going to do?
Will I ever work again?
Will I ever work again? I think I had just rejoined Dinosaur Jr. So I'm like, well, at least Jay took me back. Oh, shit.
Notes.
Oh, shit. Oh.
Well, what's happening?
Song.
This is a song.
In 5
It's
notes.
a demo.
Oh,
Demo
okay.
for a new song.
Okay.
Yep.
We'll continue after this.
One more time. 1, 2, 3, 4.
No, don't take me, don't you know I'm not ready to go home. I just got home. Born into a world of fire, water is required, soft and warm. I've got a lot to do here, conquering all my fears. I'm not ready to be gone. Walk on. Born into a world of fire, wonder is required, soft and warm. I'm believing and I'm not leaving. I'm believing and I'm not leaving. Got a lot to do here, to live here, conquering all my fear. I'm not ready to belong.
I recorded that demo this morning. It's a Sunday morning kind of. It sounds a little. I don't know if hungover is the right word, but it sounds a little hazy.
Oh, I liked it.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. It reminded me of Dinosaur Jr. So
Yeah, I'm just going through and putting together riffs and ideas and trying to make demos, like cohesive demos that I can consider.
you should definitely bring that one.
The Dinosaur Jr. is starting to record soon. You think that's okay for that?
Yes.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay. Well,
I think it has a nice catchy element too.
it does it?
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't tell whether it was just completely boring.
No, it's not.
I decided to put myself up to playing it for you, just straight up.
Thank you. I have a tickle in my throat, everyone. Do I cough? Do I let it out? What do I do? It feels like a little speck of dust just landed in my throat. Okay. I think I'm better now. I liked it.
So you think
I
that
didn't think it was boring at all.
I should move it to the next level?
Definitely.
Okay.
Because it's begging for Jay, like grungy guitars on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of based around a bass line that I wrote.
I like it.
But I don't know I'll have to see what the right tempo, the right kind of playing is for it. Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yes.
Back to my story.
Yeah, so Ben Gibbard.
Let's go back to when I was
Death Cab for Cutie.
struggling.
Early aughts. Lou's in LA at the Wiltern Theater seeing Death Cab for Cutie play. He's feeling his musical soul draining from him, wondering if he'll have a future, a job, a paycheck. And then,
so they do the encore, and I'm like, oh my God.
how much more can I take?
How much more can I be kicked down? I mean, I felt so sorry for myself. I'm just like, I just felt bad.
Interesting.
Although, like I said, I think I had just rejoined Dinosaur Jr., so I was like, thank God they took me back, because I'm useless on my fucking own. I've managed to ruin my whole fucking quote-unquote quote career, and I was wrong. It was just like, basically like, I was wrong. I'm like, this is just in my head. I'm watching them kick into the encore, and then they fucking played Brand New Love by Sebadoh. They covered Brand New Love. And I was honestly like, I had no idea, for one thing, that would happen. I didn't even know if Death Cab for Cutie would consider Sebadoh in their, like, influence. Do you know what I mean? At that point, I was like, did it even matter? You know, like, I shot myself in the foot repeatedly. The records weren't that good. Blah, 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 blah. I'm like, there's no way that I'm even in their realm of, like, influences or anything that they drew from. And then they fucking covered the song. It's kind of an impressionistic cover. They didn't like, but it was a nod. It was the song. And I had this feeling like, okay, well.
It wasn't for nothing, Lou.
I was like, it kind of eliminated that part of me that felt really sorry for myself. I'm like, this is obviously a sign.
And it's just a continuation. It's just a continuation of music. Music changes, and that's okay.
And it was when they played that, I was like, I do like to know that I'm a part of just a big flow. That's really the whole. That's my motive. My main motive has always been to just be part of something larger that's moving along. I don't have, it's like, don't have to be the guy, don't have to be this. I just want to contribute.
Can I tell you something? That song was good then, and it's good now. It's just a good song, honey. And so, you know what? Those songs do matter.
So Ben came backstage, and I'm like, I got to tell you this story. And then I felt like I'd already told him. I'm like, is he just humoring me. I'm like, how would I have told him? I've met him a couple of times. Did I actually tell him this already? But I went through the whole thing. I told him the story and he seemed touched.
It's touching.
And then he said on his own, he said, well, music is like a river. And I was like, crazy, because I had been obsessed with this concept and sort of bringing it back and thinking about it because of Mike Watt, who had guested with us guested with Dinosaur Jr. a few days before that. So I was thinking a lot about Mike Watt, thinking a lot about the river. He brings up the river, Ben, totally separate, totally independent of that. And I'm trying to write a piece about doing the Harmacy record and sort of so I'm trying to write about some difficult times and writing is so hard for me. It takes me forever to finish things. But anyway, like Ben came back and we talked about it and
wow.
And it was like
kind of a moment.
It was kind of a moment.
You were so happy.
I had a real moment.
You told me about it and you seemed very...
I did.
Kind of lit up, to be honest. I think it was really meaningful to you that he did that.
It was meaningful to see him come back and just kind of go and he had that look like he had seen something that he liked. Because sometimes when they come back after seeing a show and they give you this look, you feel this openness. You feel like they're here to just go, hey, that was good. Hey, and he had that openness. Mm-hmm. And many other people that I talk with that night had that kind of openness, like, oh, like they seemed happy that we had played and that we had kind of like reaffirmed that we were not a bad band, which is so hard over the years because there's been so much. I mean, Sebadoh is very much, it's been a like pushing a rock up the hill kind of situation in a lot of ways. And just being in a band is kind of like that. And especially in a band and you're aging and you're pushing your rock, And there's, you have those wonderful periods where the rock just starts rolling and then of course it rolls over you and crushes you, but then you get back up and you start rolling the rock again. And anyway, it was really nice. I had a really nice Chris Ballou of the Presidents of the United States of America gave me promising news about my ear. Mm-hmm. Ben Gebbard came back to give his regards, and that was nice.
Yeah, that's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I as much as I love the people who are early Sebadoh fans and they say, I'm an early Sebadoh fan, I've yet to meet, and I would love to meet someone who's like, they only like new Sebadoh or they don't even really care for it would be really funny and fun to meet someone who's like, oh man, X Prize is the best. I love that Sebadoh album. That one's the best Sebadoh album ever. I want to talk to you about X Prize because it's a great album, but like no one really mentions it. And you and I often do talk about this. People will, they'll like leave a comment or something on a post and they'll be like, new Sebadoh album. And you and I kind of look at each other and we go like, well, why? Because
did you listen to
are you even listening to the one they put out? They did put out an album that they worked really hard on and is actually, I don't know. It's pretty decent, guys. It's not just bake sale, which we love.
Another consequence of, I've been kind of, being public on my social media stuff about my ear thing and getting tons of really constructive.
Yeah, that's true.
And then also people just kind of checking in with me. And, one person who checked in with me was Mac McCon from Merge Records, Superchunk. Mac from Superchunk. And we were just,
nice. Oh, he checked in with you about that?
We're kind of IMing each other, and
nice.
We did have our conversation, our little messages did touch upon making new albums, and how the funny thing is you make a new album, as Superchunk has. They do continue to be prolific and put them out, and still they keep the dream alive. And but one of the funny things that will happen, like the last time Sebadoh put out a record, and this happens with Dinosaur Jr. too. You're out, you've done the new record. The first thing that people say, hey, when are you going to do a new record?
Yeah.
I mean, and it's so hard to figure out because it's so universal. Like people say, they all say that.
Gosh, when is the last time you guys even made a new record? It's been so long, man.
We're actually on tour for that record.
You're currently seeing the album that we're promoting right now. I'm wearing the T-shirt for it too. Okay.
So when's the new one? I mean, it happened. So I had mentioned this in this this exchange that I was having with Mac too. And I think ultimately you kind of do it for yourself. Like if you're this band and you do it, and Mac's point was that you do it for the heads, the people that are really into it. But I swear to God, I have yet to find.
But maybe the Superchunk heads do show up for them for
I
their.
think they do, because Superchunk were such a good-natured band, and they so carefully did not alienate their audience. And it wasn't even careful. They just were not an alienating presence.
I was
Whereas
say, I think it's
Sebadoh,
probably just organic to them.
it's organic to them because they fucking smiled on stage. They had a good vibe. It used to drive me nuts because back in the 90s, I was kind of like aggressive guy.
See, a lot of your things involve jealousy.
Yeah, like
jealousy.
Jealousy.
We're talking about jealousy because you're like, they smiled on stage. It's like,
yeah.
Okay. So is it cool to not smile? I mean, do you see what you're talking about? That's the Gen X curse.
I know. And I had
That's the Gen X
I also,
curse.
during the course of this Sebadoh show, I talked briefly with Matt Cameron, who plays with Soundgarden, and we did touch on, he and I touched on how aggressive it felt in the early 90s, late 80s, actually 80s, because they were 80s too, because we're talking 87, 88. These are when Soundgarden were putting out their first amazing records on Sub Pop and SST, like really reinventing this sort of hard rock genre, but also like in the trenches of this kind of very male dominated, like and I came with that. I came with all of that baggage. I took that baggage into the 90s.
Sebadoh used to like practically throw tantrums on stage. Oh my God,
we fought each other. We fought the audience. We made records that were like
alienating people.
And then along came Superchunk and Pavement, and their vibes were just open. Teenage Fan Club.
No. I saw Pavement.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Sorry.
Well,
I'm not dissing them. I'm just simply saying I saw them at First Avenue in the 90s, and they were not smiling.
But they were more bratty than they didn't quite have the. They had a good vibe. The first few times I saw them, the vibe was good. It did kind of get a little. They did kind of go and they started to grind.
They could have just had an off night when I saw them at First Avenue.
Well,
I don't know. What happened to your mic? It's back.
Oh,
okay.
God, what the hell was that?
Scary.
Oh, my God. I
hope
this isn't indicative of a larger problem.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's just quickly go to that this is all falling apart, and let's decide that this is the end of things, and you lose like immedately to the grave.
Hey, hold on.
Anyway, oh my gosh.
Okay, so to wrap this all up.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of really nice. I've touched base with a lot of people over the last month when I played all those shows.
Yeah.
And I've been kind of struggling with this hearing thing. And I'm going to do a whole other...
Your Meniering thing.
My Meniering. We're just going to say Meniere's because that's what... I'm just saying that.
Yeah, we're thinking it's Meniere's, guys.
Oh. And that goes away apparently after 5 or 6 years.
Okay.
Oh, Lou. Hey, Lou.
Hey, what? Yes?
Hey. How you doing, holiday time, Daddy? How's your holiday time? Oh, you already
halfway point.
We've heard it. Hey,
you didn't actually.
A reminder, still, you got more days to be a great dad during this holiday time. More days to devote.
To do the right thing.
More
I've
days
been enjoying
to devote
slow mornings.
Time to holiday relaxation.
Hey, I made a demo today.
We have December 28th.
Listen, we've been sleeping in. It's been nice.
December 29th. December 30th.
Stop.
December 31st. January 1st. Of course. January 2nd, January 3rd, January 4th.
Oh, my God.
Not over yet. January 5th. And then you'll have plenty of me time.
I like my me time. Me
time. I need my me
I
time.
do.
Well, I've got plenty of me time, and it's overrated. Overrated me time. Why? It's the holidays, for God's sake. Get it together.
Reaching towards the end of this year.
All right, that's the end of this Raw Impressions. It's the end.
No, not of the end of Raw Impressions.
Kibosh on it.
Just the end of the episode.
Yeah, just
All
the
right.
What are you
episode.
talking about?
Thank
We're
you
not
for
going
listening,
anywhere, guys.
everyone. I am
He does not have that
Fortran.
authority.
No.
Ringing in the new year soon enough. Okay.